Sir, your card has been declined. Again. The waiter's voice rang out too clearly, slicing through the polished hum of the five-star restaurant. Crystal glasses paused mid-air. Knives clinked against porcelain as heads turned toward the corner table where my son Kevin sat with his clients. Kevin laughed too loudly. That's ridiculous. Try it again. It's an unlimited card. The waiter didn't smile. He held the sleek black Amex between two fingers as if it were counterfeit. I've already run it twice. Sir, the bank has frozen the account. I am Margaret Carter, 70 years old. A mother who worked too hard, gave too much, and got treated like a bank account in return. If you're watching this, don't forget to subscribe and tell me where you're from. 'Cause tonight, I want you to hear how my son tried to buy respect with my money. The waiter dropped the check in the middle of the table with that fake polite smile. The kind that says, please tip me well because I've been watching you order the most expensive thing on the menu. My son, Jason, barely glanced at it. He leaned back in his chair. Eggy. Like he owned the whole damn restaurant. His friends from work, 3 guys in cheap suits, loudmouth, beer already sloshing in their glasses, were watching him like he was their golden boy. Jason pulled out my credit card. My card. He slapped it on the little black folder like it was nothing. And my stomach twisted. Because I knew what was coming. The waiter picked it up. Walked off. Jason winked at his buddies. Don't worry. Fellas. I got this. Big client dinner. Big bill. No problem. I sat there pretending to sip my water. Pretending I was just the tag-along mom. Quiet in the corner. Nobody knew I had already called Chase the night before and frozen every account in my name. Every last one. When the waiter came back, he looked nervous. He bent down, whispered something to Jason. My son's smirk cracked. Run it again, he said. Voice sharp. The waiter nodded. Left. The suits laughed it off at first. But then one leaned in. Everything good, Jace? Jason's face flushed. The waiter came back. I'm sorry, sir, but it's been declined again. That's when the silence hit. You could hear forks clinking at the next table. His friends stared. Jason grabbed the card out of the waiter's hand like he'd been insulted. This is ridiculous. My mother's account always clears. Swear. The whole restaurant turned to look at us. And that's when I finally opened my mouth. Jason, maybe you should tell your friends whose account that is. He whipped his head at me. Eyes wide, like he'd forgotten I was even sitting there. Mom. Not now. I leaned forward. My voice steady. Sharp enough to cut through the noise. Tell them. Tell them it's not your card. Tell them it's mine. And tell them why it doesn't work. The suits shifted in their seats. One of them muttered. Dude. Jason tried to laugh it off. She's joking. Mom jokes a lot. Don't mind her. I shook my head. I'm not joking. Try your other card. Jason. Oh wait. You don't have another card. You canceled yours, didn't you? You opened a loan in my name instead. Want me to keep going? His face drained of color. He hissed. Stop it. No. Not tonight. Because here's the thing, he thought I didn't know. He thought I was just the old woman who paid bills and looked the other way. But I had found the paperwork stuffed behind his dresser drawer. The loan agreement with my name forged across the bottom. The bank statements that didn't match. My credit score had tanked overnight. And I knew damn well why. So I froze everything. I sat back and waited. And now, here we were. Jason pushed his chair back. Guys, don't worry. I'll fix this. His friends weren't laughing anymore. One checked his phone. Another muttered something about splitting the bill. Jason's hand shook as he fumbled for the waiter. Just give me a minute. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared at my son. The boy I raised. The boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street. Now sitting there with sweat dripping down his neck because his big show just blew up in his face. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from. 'Cause trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Jason turned to me. Low voice. Teeth clenched. What the hell did you do? I lifted my glass of water. Calm as stone. I protected myself. The waiter hovered awkwardly. Jason snapped. Give me the check. I'll figure it out. But his friend with the cheap tie already had his wallet out. Don't worry, man. I'll cover this one. He gave Jason a look, half pity, half disgust. The kind of look that burns more than words. Jason shoved the card back into his pocket, jaw tight. He didn't look at me. Not once. And when we walked out of that restaurant, the night air thick and sticky, he grabbed my arm so hard it left a mark. Why would you do that to me? In front of them? I yanked free. Why would you steal from me? Behind my back. He didn't answer. He just stood there. Fists clenched. Eyes darting like a cornered animal. Cars hissed by on the street. His buddy slipped into an Uber without saying goodbye. Jason and I were left alone under the streetlight, shadows stretching long and thin. He finally spoke. You don't get it. I needed that money. I was building something. I had to show them I had backing. You ruined it. I laughed, bitter. You ruined it the second you signed my name on that loan. You think I wouldn't find out? You think banks don't call? You think I wouldn't notice when collectors started leaving messages on my phone? His eyes flickered. I was gonna pay it back. Liar. The word hung heavy between us. He looked like he wanted to spit something back. But he didn't. He shoved his hands in his pockets instead. Head low. Muttering curses I couldn't quite catch. I started walking. He followed. Right at my heels. Still muttering. When we got to the car, he slammed the door so hard the whole frame shook. You embarrassed me, he said, staring straight ahead. You embarrassed yourself. I shot back. He turned to me then. Finally. Eyes blazing. Mom, what did you do yesterday? I answered him without hesitation. I called the bank. I froze every account with my name on it. I made sure you couldn't touch another dime of my money. Jason's mouth dropped open like I'd slapped him. You did what? I protected myself. Jason, you think I'm stupid? You think I don't look at statements? You think I wouldn't notice collectors calling for debts I never signed off on? He leaned back in the passenger seat, shaking his head, muttering, Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable is right. I said, that my own son would steal from me and think he could get away with it. His voice shot up. I didn't steal. It's called an investment. I just borrowed what I needed. I was gonna pay it back. Mom, but you just embarrassed me in front of everyone. Do you know what that does to my reputation? I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles whitened. Your reputation? What about mine? Do you know what happens when you wreck my credit? When I can't even qualify for a car loan or refinance the house. This isn't a joke. Jason, this is my life. He slammed his palm against the dashboard. It's my life too. I was trying to build something. I had to impress them. That's how business works. You show strength first. Then the deals come later. I stared at him, stunned at the sheer audacity. With whose money? Mine. He didn't answer. He just stared out the window, jaw tight. The silence between us was thick, heavy. I could hear the tires humming against the road, the faint buzz of streetlights outside. I wanted to scream, but instead I just breathed hard through my nose and kept driving. When we pulled into the driveway, Jason was out of the car before I even shut the engine off. He stormed into the house, his footsteps pounding like war drums up the stairs. Followed. Slower. Steady. When I reached his room, the door was half open. He was pacing, running his hands through his hair, cursing under his breath. Jason, I said. He spun. Do you have any idea what you've done? They think I'm a fraud now. They think I can't even pay for dinner. Do you know how humiliating that is? I crossed my arms. Good. Maybe humiliation is what you need. His chest rose and fell fast, like he was fighting himself not to explode. You don't understand. You never understand. You've been safe your whole life. Paycheck. Bill. Grocery store. You never had to take risks. I was trying to do something big. Mom. Something that would change everything. By dragging me down with you? He groaned, covering his face. God, you're impossible. I took a step closer. You forged my signature. Jason, that's not just some little mistake. That's a crime. His hands dropped. His eyes locked on mine. You wouldn't turn me in. You wouldn't dare. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence sting. Because the truth? I didn't know. Part of me wanted to march down to the police station right then and there. But another part of me, this aching, stubborn mother part, couldn't imagine putting handcuffs on my own son. Jason saw the hesitation in my face. And he smiled. Not the sweet smile he had when he was 5, missing his front teeth. No, this was a cruel, sharp smile. Yeah, that's what I thought. I clenched my fists. Don't push me, Jason. But he was already digging through his dresser, yanking out papers, stuffing them into a backpack. His movements were frantic, desperate. What are you doing? I asked. Leaving, he said. You want to freeze me out? Fine. I'll figure it out myself. You're not going anywhere with my documents. He froze. His back stiffened. Slowly. Turn. Holding a file folder in his hand. I recognized it instantly. The same folder I had hidden in the hall closet. My social security card. My tax returns. Every important paper I owned. How did you? He smirked. You think you're the only one who can snoop? My chest tightened. Jason, put it back. No, he said. His voice calm. Almost too calm. You took everything from me tonight. Now I'm taking what I need. I lunged forward, grabbing the folder out of his hands. He pulled back hard. The papers spilled across the floor like confetti. We both froze, staring at the mess. Jason crouched, snatching up pages. His voice was low. Dangerous. You don't want to fight me on this. Mom. I dropped to my knees too, shoving papers back into the folder. My voice was shaking, but steady enough. I will fight you. Every step of the way. Because I'm not letting you ruin me any more than you already have. He grabbed one paper, held it up between 2 fingers. My mortgage statement. This house, he said slowly, is basically mine already. You can't even make the payments without me. You're one step from losing it. And you know it. My blood ran cold. Guys, deep down. He was right. I snatched the paper back, shoving it into the folder. My heart pounding. Jason stood, towering over me. So here's what's gonna happen. You're going to stop interfering. You're going to give me access again. And if you don't, he let the threat hang. I looked up at him, refusing to flinch. If I don't, what? His jaw clenched. His hand twitched like he wanted to punch the wall. Then you'll find out. I rose to my feet, folder clutched tight against my chest. Get out of my way. He didn't move. Jason, I said, my voice hard. Move. And finally, slowly, he stepped aside. I pushed past him, headed straight for my room, locking the door behind me. My hands shook as I shoved the folder under my bed. But the sound of his voice came muffled through the door. You can't hide forever. Mom, you can't stop me. I sat on the edge of my bed, clutching the frame, staring at the door like it might burst open any second. Then bang. A hard slam from the hallway. Another. Then his voice. Louder. Closer. Open the door. We're not done. Open it right now. Jason's fists pounded against the wood so hard the door shook on its hinges. I pressed my back against it, every muscle tight, heart slamming in my chest. You need to calm down, I shouted. His voice cracked through the hallway. You don't get to control me. You don't get to treat me like a child. You're acting like one. Another slam rattled the frame. For a second, I thought it was going to splinter. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, thumb hovering over the numbers, calling the police. I'd never done it on him before. Not once. But my hand was trembling, the weight of that choice crushing me. Jason's pounding stopped. Silence. I held my breath. Then his voice. Low. Muffled. If you call them, You lose me for good. I closed my eyes. You lost yourself. Jason. The second you stole from me. Silence again. I thought maybe he'd walked away. Then I heard his footsteps retreating down the hall. Slow. Heavy. A door slammed. I stayed there against the wood for what felt like an hour, but it couldn't have been more than a few minutes. Finally, I moved, pacing the room, clutching the phone in one hand like a weapon. I should have called. Maybe I should have. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I texted my friend Kelly. Are you awake? She responded instantly. Yeah. What's wrong? My fingers flew. It's Jason. He forged my name on a loan. Froze my accounts. Just confronted him. He's losing it. Kelly, oh my God. Do you want me to come over? I stared at the screen. The house was quiet. Too quiet. No. Just stay by your phone. If I don't text in an hour, call me. I set the phone down. Crawled into bed fully dressed. Folder still under the frame. Sleep never came. I stared at the ceiling until the black outside turned gray. By morning, the house smelled like burnt toast. I crept down the stairs. Jason was in the kitchen, shoving bread into the toaster, slamming cabinets. He looked like hell. Bloodshot eyes. Same clothes from last night. He didn't look at me. We need to talk. I stayed in the doorway. About what? About fixing this. There's nothing to fix. You owe money you can't pay. You dragged my name into it. What part of that do you think I'm covering for? He grabbed the toast with his bare hands, flinched at the heat, tossed it on a plate. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's a loan. People take loans all the time. Not by forging signatures. He smirked. Bitter. Maybe you shouldn't leave your papers lying around then. My jaw clenched. Don't you dare blame me. He leaned against the counter, chewing like he wanted to spit every bite in my face. So what now? You gonna throw me out? I stared at him, at the boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, terrified of thunder. Now standing there like a stranger I barely knew. I don't want to, I said. But if you keep this up, you're giving me no choice. He laughed, dry and sharp. You think you scare me? You think kicking me out will change anything? You need me. Without me, you're screwed. House, bill, everything. You can't do it alone. I've been doing it alone my whole life. I snapped. That shut him up. For a second. At least. Then he wiped his hands on his jeans, grabbed his keys. Fine. Keep acting tough. See where it gets you. He brushed past me, shoulder knocking mine hard enough to sting, and headed out the front door. The silence after it shut was deafening. I sank into the chair at the table, head in my hands. Kelly called. I answered on the first ring. Tell me you're okay, she said. I swallowed hard. I don't know. He's gone. For now. Do you want me to call the cops? I hesitated. Not yet. I can't. You can. She cut in. You're protecting yourself. Don't you see? He crossed a line. I wiped at my face, even though I wasn't crying. I know. He's my son. Then maybe he needs to face consequences before he destroys you completely. Her words sank into me like stones. Heavy. Hard. Impossible to ignore. By noon, I tried distracting myself with chores. Laundry. Dishes. Vacuuming. But everything felt pointless. My mind kept circling back to Jason's face at that restaurant, the look when his card failed, the way his hands shook, the rage behind his eyes. I checked the windows every time a car passed. He didn't come back. Until he did. Late afternoon. The slam of the front door made me jump. Jason stormed in, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Where have you been? I asked. Doesn't matter. He tossed the bag on the floor. We need to figure this out. Right now. I crossed my arms. What's in the bag? None of your business. Jason. He sighed. Unzipped it just enough for me to see stacks of flyers. Glossy printouts with his face plastered on them. Jason Miller Consulting. Business solutions you can trust. You spent more money? Asked, disbelief dripping from every word. He grinned. Unhinged. It's called marketing. You wouldn't understand. I snatched one, crumpled it in my fist. You're spiraling. You don't even see it. I see just fine. He snapped. I see you standing in my way. I shook my head. I'm trying to save you. He stepped closer. Too close. His breath hot with bitterness. Then stopped saving me. And before I could move, his hand shot out, snatching the crumpled flyer back. Paper spilled from the bag, scattering across the floor like broken promises. I bent down, trying to pick them up, but he blocked me with his foot. Don't touch them. My hands froze, inches from the mess. His eyes burned into mine. And then he said, you touched them again. And I swear. I cut him off. You swear what? You gonna hit me now? Go ahead. Jason. Show me how far you're willing to sink. His jaw twitched. His hand curled into a fist, then unclenched. You think you're so smart. You think you've got control. But you don't. You've already lost. I pushed myself up slowly. Flyer still in my hand. 5 lost. Why are you standing here begging me to keep the lights on for you? He lunged, snatched the flyer, tore it in half right in front of me, pieces fluttering to the ground. His laugh was short. Ugly. You don't get it. None of this matters. I'll find another way. Another scam. You mean? His head snapped up, eyes flashing. It's not a scam. It's fraud. Jason, you stole my identity. You're using my name to fund your little empire. You think that's not going to catch up to you? He kicked the duffel, flyers spilling everywhere. You think too small. Always have. That's why you'll never get it. I stood there, shaking, trying to hold myself together. I think like someone who has bills to pay and a life to protect. You think like someone chasing smoke. His laugh turned cold. And yet, here I am, still moving, still hustling, while you hide behind your frozen accounts. What's your plan? Mom, just sit here, clutching your papers, waiting for me to ruin you anyway? The words landed like daggers. 'Cause deep down, I knew he wasn't entirely wrong. My credit was already shredded. My name was already flagged. Collectors had my number. He had dragged me into quicksand, and every move I made only pulled me deeper. But I wasn't about to let him see that. I stepped closer, close enough to smell the sweat and stale cologne on him. My plan, Jason, is to make sure you can't drag me down any further. You want to know what I did yesterday? I didn't just freeze my accounts. I called a lawyer. His smirk faltered. What? I'm not playing anymore. You forged my name. And that's a felony. You want to push me? Keep pushing. He stared at me, blinking like he hadn't expected me to actually fight back. His mouth opened, then shut. His fists loosened. You wouldn't. He finally said, voice low. You wouldn't ruin your own son. I wouldn't have thought my son would ruin me either. Yet here we are. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, he looked rattled. Really rattled. He grabbed the duffel, started shoving the flyers back inside with frantic movements. You're bluffing, he muttered. You wouldn't do it. You don't have the guts. I didn't move. I just kept staring. He zipped the bag, slung it over his shoulder, and brushed past me hard enough to knock me sideways. You'll regret this. He threw over his shoulder, voice sharp as broken glass. The door slammed. The house shook. I collapsed into the nearest chair, my whole body buzzing. I wanted to cry, scream, smash something. Instead, I grabbed my phone, opened my contacts, and hovered over the lawyer's number. Then I called. Mrs. Miller. His voice came warm, professional. It's me, I said, my throat dry. I need to know what happens if I press charges against my son. There was a pause on the other end. That's serious. Are you prepared for that? No, I whispered, but I might not have a choice. We talked. He laid out the options. Identity theft, fraud, forgery, Each word felt heavier than the last. By the time I hung up, my hands were trembling so bad I nearly dropped the phone. I sat in the silence. The house too big, too empty. Every creak of the floorboards made me jump, half expecting Jason to burst back in. Instead, an hour later, the knock at the door nearly stopped my heart. I peered through the window. Not Jason. Two men in suits. Not cheap like his friends, real tailored suits. Slick hair. Cold eyes. Cracked the door. Chain still latched. "Can I help you?" The taller one smiled without warmth. "We're looking for Jason Miller." "This his address?" My blood ran cold. "Who are you?" He flashed a business card. No company name. Just a number. "We represent certain interests. Collectors." "I don't know where he is," I said quickly. "He doesn't live here." The shorter man leaned in, peering past me into the hallway. "Funny, because this is the address on the paperwork." The taller one added, "And your name's on the paperwork too. Which means, technically, you're responsible." My throat tightened. "I never signed anything." "That's not what the bank thinks," he said smoothly. "So unless you want a problem, maybe you should tell us where your son is." I gripped the edge of the door. I said I don't know. The short one smirked. "Then you'd better find out. Fast." They stepped back, as calm as if they were leaving a dinner party. "We'll be in touch," the tall one said. I slammed the door shut, locked every bolt, and slid down against it until I was sitting on the floor, shaking, because it wasn't just Jason anymore. It was bigger. And now, they knew where I lived. Sure. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. "Don't believe anything they say. I'll handle it." Handle it? He'd already dragged me into the fire. And now the flames were climbing higher, licking at the edges of everything I owned. I typed back, fingers flying. "You need to come home. Now." 3 dots appeared. Then vanished. Then nothing. I stared at the blank screen, my pulse thudding in my ears, until the front window rattled. Not a knock. A thud. I froze in the hallway, phone still in my hand. Another thud. Harder this time, like something striking the glass. Crept closer. Heart pounding. Through the blinds, I caught a glimpse Jason, standing on the porch. Fists clenched. Eyes wild. I yanked the door open before he could break it. "What the hell are you doing?" He shoved past me, storming inside. "Why'd you talk to them?" My voice cracked with fury. Why did they show up at my door? He spun, pointing a finger an inch from my face. "Because you froze the accounts. You left me with nothing. You think I wanted them here? You think I called them up for fun?" I slapped his hand away. "You forged my name. You brought them here." He grabbed the back of a chair, shaking it like he might throw it. "Do you have any idea who those guys are?" "Collectors," I said flatly. He laughed, bitter and hollow. "Collectors? Try sharks. You don't pay. You don't walk. That's who you just invited into your life." The room spun. My throat went dry. "Jason, what did you do?" He sank into the chair, head in his hands. "I borrowed more than I told you." "Okay. A lot more." "How much?" His silence told me everything. I shouted, "How much, Jason?" Finally, he muttered, 50 grand. My knees nearly buckled. 50. I gripped the edge of the table to keep from falling. "You signed my name for $50,000? He didn't look up. I was gonna flip it, double it, triple it. I had deals lined up. Deals? My laugh was sharp, frantic. "What kind of deals? You're not some Wall Street hotshot. You're a kid with a printer and a duffel bag full of flyers." He slammed his fist down. "Don't talk to me like that. You don't know what I'm capable of." "I know exactly what you're capable of." I shot back. "Lying. Stealing. Dragging me down with you." His chest heaved. His eyes darted around the room like he was looking for an escape. "I'll fix it. I just need time." Time? I almost laughed again. They stood in this doorway. "Jason." They looked me in the eye and told me I was responsible. You think they're giving me time? He shoved his chair back, pacing. Then don't answer the door. Don't talk to them again. Let me handle it. Handle it how? He didn't answer. He just kept pacing, muttering under his breath. I stepped in front of him, forcing him to stop. You need to tell me everything. Every detail. Now. He shook his head. You wouldn't understand. Try me. His eyes finally locked on mine. Dark and desperate. I owe the wrong people. Not just banks. Not just lenders. The kind of people who don't forgive. And if I don't pay, they'll come back. Not for me. For you. The air in the room seemed to vanish. My skin prickled. I whispered. They threatened me. He didn't blink. Then you know I'm not lying. I staggered back, gripping the wall. You've ruined everything. His hand shot out, grabbing my arm. No. I can fix it. But you need to trust me. I ripped free. Trust you? After all this? His jaw tightened. I'm still your son. The word son hit me like a knife twist. 'Cause no matter what, he was. And that made every decision feel impossible. The silence stretched until the only sound was the clock ticking on the wall. Finally, I said, You're not staying here tonight. His face hardened. What? You heard me. Pack your things. You're out. He laughed, sharp and cruel. You think that'll stop them? If I'm not here, you're the one they'll corner. You're the one they'll squeeze. I swallowed hard. Then maybe I'll go to the police first. That got him. His eyes went wide, fury sparking. You wouldn't dare. Try me, I said, my voice steady even though my insides shook. He stood there for a long moment, breathing heavy, staring me down. Then, slowly, he grabbed the duffel from the floor and slung it over his shoulder. You'll regret this, he said, almost a whisper. The door slammed behind him. I stood frozen in the empty living room. Heart hammering, every nerve screaming. My phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. A low voice on the other end, Mrs. Miller. I swallowed. Who is this? You don't know me, the voice said. But I know Jason. And if you want to survive this, you'd better listen carefully, the voice said. I gripped the phone tighter. Who are you? That doesn't matter. What matters is Jason owes us. And his debt has your name on it. My chest tightened. I didn't sign anything. He forged my. Doesn't matter. The voice cut in, calm but sharp, like a knife sliding across glass. Your name is on the line, which means if he disappears, you pay. My knees went weak. I don't have $50,000. Silence. Then a low chuckle. Then you better make sure your son delivers. Or else, we'll come collecting in other ways. The line went dead. I stood there, phone buzzing in my hand, the room spinning. Kelly's name lit up the screen. I answered, my voice breaking. They just called me. What? Who? The men. The ones looking for Jason. They know my name's on the debt. They said if he doesn't pay. I do. Kelly cursed under her breath. You can't stay there. You need to go to the police. Tonight. Can't. I whispered. If I do, and they find out, gets worse. For both of us. Then what's your plan? I looked at the locked door. The empty driveway outside. The darkness pressing against the windows. My voice was hollow. I don't know. That night, I didn't sleep. Every sound felt like footsteps on the porch. Every shadow looked like someone waiting outside. By morning, I had made up my mind. I drove to Jason's old high school friend's apartment, the one I knew he still hung around with, Tyler. The kid answered the door in sweatpants, hair sticking up, eyes bloodshot. Where's Jason? I demanded. Tyler scratched his neck. Haven't seen him. Don't lie to me. He's in trouble. And if you're covering for him, you'll be in trouble too. Tyler's smirk faltered. Look, I don't know where he is. He came by last night, grabbed some cash, said he had a meeting. That's all I know. A meeting with who? He shrugged. Didn't say. I wanted to scream, but instead I turned on my heel and left. By noon, I was driving aimlessly, phone clutched in my hand, waiting for a call that never came. Until it did. Jason. Mom. His voice rushed, frantic, like he was running. You need to listen. Don't talk to them again. Whatever they told you, ignore it. Jason. They came to my door. They called me. I can't just ignore it. I'm handling it. Okay. I've got a plan. A plan? My voice cracked. You already had a plan. And it buried me. You forged my name. Jason. You dragged me into debt with criminals. What else do you want from me? His breathing was heavy, ragged. Just a little more time. Please. Trust me. I almost laughed. Trust you? After everything? Mom, his voice broke, but then cut off like he dropped the phone. Jason. Jason. Static. Then silence. I sat there on the side of the road, gripping the wheel, heart pounding like it wanted out of my chest. By the time I got home, the sun was setting. My porch light flickered on automatically, but the sight waiting for me in the driveway made my blood run cold. A black car. Parked. Engine idling. Windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. Pulled in slow. Pulse racing. The car didn't move. Didn't leave. It killed my headlights. Sat in the dark for a long minute. Then I forced myself out, keys between my fingers like claws, and walked to the door. The car's engine revved once. Then silence. Inside. I locked every bolt, every latch, every window. I paced the living room, phone clutched tight, waiting. An hour passed. Then the car door opened. Footsteps crunched on the gravel. A knock at the door, 3 slow raps. I didn't move. Another knock. Louder. Then a voice. Muffled through the wood, Mrs. Miller. We need to talk. I pressed my back to the door, heart hammering. Leave me alone. The voice was calm. You don't want us as enemies. Let's be reasonable. I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. Talk to Jason. Not me. We tried. He's unreliable. You, on the other hand, have something to lose. Silence stretched. Then the sound of paper sliding under the door. I looked down. A folded slip. I picked it up with shaking hands. One line. Bold black ink. $50. 000. 3 days. And under it, my address. I dropped the paper like it burned me. The footsteps retreated. The car engine started. The tires crunched down the street until silence swallowed the night again. I stood in the living room, staring at the slip on the floor, knowing exactly what it meant. And then my phone buzzed. Jason's name lit up. I answered, voice shaking. Where are you? I'm close, he said. But I need you to do something for me. My grip tightened on the phone. What now? Haven't you done enough already? Listen to me. Mom, they're closing in. I just need cash. A few thousand. Enough to hold them off. If you don't, I cut him off. I don't have a few thousand. You drain me. Remember? Silence. Just his breathing. Heavy and uneven. Then he whispered. Find it. You've always figured things out before. Jason, my throat was raw. Do you even hear yourself? You forged my name for 50 grand. You ruined my credit. You brought loan sharks to my door. And now you're asking me to help you again? His voice cracked. I don't have anyone else. Something in me twisted. That word son still sat heavy in my chest. But the image of that slip of paper $50, 000, 3 days, was sharper, louder. I forced steel into my voice. Where are you? He hesitated. Then downtown, near the old warehouse by 5th. Don't come here. Mom, just figure it out. The line went dead. I sat in the living room, staring at the dark windows, hands trembling. Every instinct screamed to run, to call the cops, to hand Jason over and cut myself free. But the other voice, the mother's voice, kept whispering, he's still your boy. He's still Jason. My phone buzzed again. Kelly, you sound like hell, she said as soon as I answered. He called me. I whispered. He wants money. Of course he does. That's all he ever wants. They gave me 3 days. Kelly sucked in a breath. Then you go to the police. Now. I can't. Not yet. If I do, they'll take it out on him. Or me. Then what's your plan? My eyes drifted to the folder under my bed. The papers. The documents Jason hadn't managed to steal. I swallowed hard. I don't know. But I can't just sit here. That night, I barely blinked. Every creak, every gust of wind against the house made me jump. By morning, I had made a decision. I went to see the lawyer. He looked at me across his oak desk. Calm and professional. You need to act now. File a police report. Identity theft. Fraud. With that paper trail, you can protect yourself from the debt collectors. And Jason, he hesitated. If you file, the investigation will pull him in. If he signed your name, if he took those loans, he's liable. There's no avoiding that. I pressed my hands to my face. He's my son. I know, the lawyer said softly. But he's also an adult who committed a crime. You can't let his choices destroy you. His words echoed in my head all the way home. When I pulled into the driveway, Jason was already there, sitting on the porch steps. Hoodie pulled over his head, duffel bag at his feet. I slammed the car door. What are you doing here? He stood, eyes darting. I needed to see you. We don't have much time. I crossed my arms. You think I don't know that? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. They're watching you. They're watching me. I can't shake them. But I've got one shot. There's a guy downtown who'll buy in. If I can get $5,000, just 5, can flip it. Pay the sharks enough to keep them off us. I laughed, bitter. You think another gamble is the answer? His face twisted. It's the only shot I've got. Mom, please. I shook my head. I'm not funding you anymore. Not a cent. His eyes hardened. Then you're signing my death sentence. Better yours than mine. I snapped before I could stop myself. The words hung heavy between us. Jason flinched. Like I'd struck him. He looked down. Then up. His voice cold. If you won't help me, maybe they'll make you. My stomach dropped. Is that a threat? He didn't answer. He just grabbed his duffel and walked off down the street. Shoulders hunched. Disappearing into the dusk. I stood frozen on the porch, the air sharp in my lungs, watching my son vanish into the shadows. Inside, the phone rang. Picked up. A familiar low voice said, Mrs. Miller. Time's running out. Where's Jason? I swallowed hard. I don't know. The man chuckled. You'd better find him. 'Cause if you don't, we will. And trust me, you don't want us knocking again. The line clicked dead. I dropped the phone onto the counter, my hand shaking so bad it clattered against the wood. Outside, in the distance, a car engine revved. Headlights cut across the living room wall, white beams slicing through the blinds. I froze, crouched low, heart banging against my ribs. The car slowed outside. Tires crunched on gravel. Then silence. I crept to the window, careful not to touch the blinds. Through the narrow slit, I saw it, the same black sedan from before. Engine idling. My phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. I grabbed it, pressed it to my ear. Mrs. Miller. The voice was steady, too calm. We're waiting. I swallowed. I told you I don't know where Jason is. You have 3 days. Now, if he doesn't pay, you do. I don't have that kind of money. Then find him. Convince him. Because if we have to, we'll come inside and look ourselves. The line went dead. I backed away from the window. Breath shallow. Palms slick. That's when my phone buzzed again. Jason this time. Mom, he whispered. His voice jagged, like he was talking while moving. Don't let them in. Whatever they tell you, don't listen. Too late. I hissed. They're outside right now. They're watching the house. He cursed under his breath. I'm close. I just need tonight. I've got a guy. If it works, I can buy us time. Buy us time with what? Jason. Another lie? He didn't answer. Just heavy breathing. Then if I don't come back, don't open the door for anyone. Jason. The line went dead. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, phone clutched tight, listening to the hum of the car engine outside. Then silence. The headlights faded. The sedan rolled off into the night. I sank against the counter, shaking. Kelly called again. You're scaring me, she said. What's happening now? I told her everything. The knock. The note. The car outside. Jason's call. She didn't even hesitate. You need to get out. Come stay with me. Right now. I can't. If I leave, they'll think I'm running. That'll make it worse. Worse than this? My eyes stung. He's still my son. Her silence was heavy. Then she said, then you better decide how far you're willing to go for him. 'Cause right now, he's dragging you under. By midnight, the house felt like a trap. Every creak in the floorboards made me jump. I couldn't sit still. So I pulled out the folder from under my bed, spreading the papers across the comforter. Bank statements, mortgage, tax forms, proof. If I filed everything with the lawyer, I could clear my name, but it would mean Jason facing charges. Prison. Maybe worse. I pressed my hands over my face, torn in two. Then my phone buzzed again. A text. Jason. Warehouse. 5th Street. Midnight. Come alone. My chest tightened. He'd said not to come before. Why now? I sat there staring at the glowing screen. Then I grabbed my keys. The drive downtown was a blur of empty streets and flickering streetlights. The warehouse loomed, dark and hollow. Windows shattered. Graffiti on the walls. Jason stood near the side entrance. Hoodie pulled tight. Duffel at his feet. He looked smaller in the shadows, almost like the boy I remembered. Mom, he said, stepping forward. What is this? I asked. I've got a buyer. He'll take the flyers, the pitch, the whole package. All I need is you two. The sound of footsteps cut him off. Heavy, deliberate. 2 men stepped out from the shadows. Suits. The same ones who'd come to my house. Jason stiffened. This isn't what we agreed. The taller one smiled. Cold and thin. We agreed you'd pay. This is stalling. Jason's voice cracked. I just need a little more time. The shorter one pulled a slip of paper from his pocket. Waved it. Time's up. 50,000. Tonight. Jason's eyes darted to me. Desperate. Mom. I shook my head. Heart hammering. Don't you dare drag me into this. The taller man's gaze slid to me. Mrs. Miller. You could save your boy with one phone call. One payment. You've got assets. House. Car. Sell it. Sign it over. No. I snapped. Not again. Jason stepped closer. Eyes wild. Please. Just this once. Please. I felt the world tilt. My body froze in between 2 impossible choices. My son. Begging. The men. Watching. The night pressing in like a vice. Jason grabbed my arm. Voice breaking. Mom, if you love me, I yanked my arm free. Don't you dare throw that at me. Love doesn't mean letting you destroy me. Jason's face crumpled. But before he could speak, the taller man stepped closer. Shoes crunching on broken glass. Enough drama. You have until sunrise. After that, interest doubles. Jason's voice shot up. Panicked. You can't do that. The shorter one leaned in. Eyes sharp. Watch us. They turned, calm as ever, and walked back into the shadows. Their car door slammed. Engine roaring to life. Tires screeched. Then silence. The night closed in around us. Jason dropped to his knees, clutching the duffel. His hands shook. Mom, I'm dead. I'm so dead. I stared down at him, rage and grief warring in my chest. You did this to yourself. He looked up. eyes glistening. No, you don't get it. These guys don't bluff. They'll come back. For me. For you. They'll burn the house down if they have to. My skin crawled. Because I believed him. He scrambled closer, grabbing my hands. We can run. Tonight. Pack a bag. Disappear. Start over somewhere else. Please. I ripped free. Run where? With what money? You think we can outrun debt collectors like them? You don't run from sharks. Jason. They follow the blood. His chest heaved. Breath ragged. Then what do we do? For the first time. He sounded like a child again. Lost. Scared. I swallowed hard. My voice was steady. We fight. His eyes widened. Fight? With what? With proof. I said. I've got every document. Every forged signature. Every statement. If I turn it over to the police, it cuts me free. And it puts you in the crosshairs instead of me. He went pale. You wouldn't. I might have to. His whole body shook. Mom, please. Don't. You think prison's safer than them? At least with them. I've got a shot. In there. I'm done. I clenched my fists. You should have thought of that before you dragged me into this. The silence between us was heavy. The only sound was the drip of water somewhere inside the warehouse, echoing. Then Jason stood, pulling the duffel strap over his shoulder. His face hardened. If you do this, we're finished. I'll never forgive you. I met his eyes. Then hate me. At least you'll be alive to do it. His jaw clenched. His hands trembled. And then he stormed off into the dark, disappearing between the broken walls. I stood alone, the night pressing in, every nerve screaming. When I finally drove home, dawn was just breaking. The house felt smaller, colder. I locked the door, shoved the folder back under my bed, and sat at the edge, phone in hand. Kelly texted. Did you make a decision? I typed back yes. I'm calling the police. But before I could hit send, a crash rattled the window. I leapt up, heart racing. Another crash. Glass shattering. Someone was inside. I grabbed the lamp from the nightstand, clutching it tight, and crept toward the hall. Shadows shifted downstairs. Heavy footsteps. Mrs. Miller. A voice bellowed. Not Jason's. Rougher. We told you. Time's up. I froze at the top of the stairs. Lamp raised. Pulse roaring in my ears. Then I saw him. The tall man. Inside my house. His partner right behind him. The taller one smirked. Nice place. Shame if something happened to it. My throat closed. Get out. He shook his head. Not until we get what we came for. Where's Jason? I don't know. I said. Voice shaking. The shorter one's eyes swept the room, landing on the staircase. Then maybe we'll tear this place apart until we find him. They started forward. Slow. Deliberate. I raised the lamp higher. The cord dangling like a tail. My arms shaking but steady enough to swing if I had to. The taller one chuckled. What's that gonna do? You think you can stop us with a lamp? Try me. I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. The shorter one started up the stairs. Slow and deliberate. Each creak of the wood echoed like a gunshot. We'll make this simple. Mrs. Miller. You give us Jason. Or you give us the money. One or the other. I told you. I snapped. I don't know where he is. He smirked. Then I guess we'll wait here until he shows up. The taller one strolled toward the living room, brushing his hand along the wall like he was already claiming it. 3 days. 2 days. Doesn't matter. Time's over. I felt my pulse hammering in my throat. My phone was still in my pocket. My thumb brushed the screen. Desperate. And then I hit dial. 911. What's your emergency? I spoke loud enough for them to hear. There are 2 men in my house. They broke in. They're threatening me. The shorter one froze mid-step. His smirk vanished. Hang up. I held my ground. No. The taller one's voice turned sharp. Do it. I stared right at him. Dispatch. Send units now. For a moment, the world held still. Then the taller man cursed, grabbing his partner by the arm. "We're not done," he snarled. "This isn't over." They bolted. The door slammed. Tires screeched down the street. I stayed frozen at the top of the stairs, phone pressed to my ear. Lamp still raised until the dispatcher's voice broke through. "Ma'am? Officers are on their way. Stay on the line." By the time red and blue lights filled the windows, my whole body collapsed against the wall. 2 officers swept the house, checking every room, every lock. One of them, a woman with tired eyes, took my statement while I sat shaking on the couch. They said Jason owes them $50,000. I whispered. "They forged my name. They won't stop." She wrote fast, nodded slow. "We'll need you to come down to the station. File everything formally. Identity theft, fraud, breaking and entering. The more details you give, the stronger your case." My stomach turned. "File. My son." The officer's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. "Your son already made his choices. Now you need to protect yourself." I stared at my shaking hands, the skin pale against the pen she pressed into my grip. For a long second, I couldn't move. Then I bent forward and signed. By morning, Jason was in custody. They picked him up downtown, duffel bag still slung over his shoulder, trying to talk his way out of trouble with the same slick lies he'd been feeding me. But this time, it didn't work. The papers, the statements, the forged signature, they had him cold. Kelly sat beside me in the courthouse a week later when I saw him in shackles for the first time. My son. My boy. He didn't look at me. Not once. The judge read the charges: fraud, forgery, identity theft. His lawyer tried to argue it down, but the evidence was stacked too high. Jason kept his head low, jaw clenched, eyes fixed on the table in front of him. When it was over, when the gavel slammed and the bailiffs led him away, he finally turned his head. Just once. His eyes met mine. Not hate, not anger, just something hollow, something I couldn't read. And then he was gone. The house was quiet after that. Too quiet. The collectors never came back. The police had scared them off. Or maybe Jason's arrest made me no longer worth their time. My credit was still ruined. My bank account's a mess. But for the first time in months, I could breathe. I sat on the porch one evening, the sun sinking low, painting the street in orange light. Kelly brought wine. We drank in silence until she finally said, "You did the right thing." I nodded, though it didn't feel like it. Because the truth? Right and wrong blurred the second I picked up the phone and called 911. Right and wrong blurred the moment my son forged my name. But I knew one thing. I wasn't his victim anymore. Inside, the folder still sat under my bed. Edges bent. Papers marked with ink and fingerprints. Proof of everything. A reminder of how close I'd come to losing everything. I poured another glass, leaned back in the chair, and let the night air wash over me. For the first time, the silence didn't feel like a threat. Felt like freedom.